Listen to the bluebird crying in the air. He's just here. Sandy's gone. Sandy's gone. Looking at the whippoorwill who's always known to spare. Shed new tears. Sandy's gone. Sandy's gone. Some people say there ain't nothing like being a man.
So big gig in the Guinness spot tonight. The legends are calling this show, aren't they?
Well, I'm calling it This Is Where the Obsolete Meet, which is a slightly different. A legend is a guy who's alive a lot longer than he should be.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, but unfortunately we've lived this long, which takes the crack out of it for a lot of people. So, you know, it's nice we're here, and it's lovely to see Henry again. I met Henry in 1967, I remember distinctly in Grattan Street. He was wearing an Afghan coat.
Right.
I told him that. I said, I don't remember that. I said, I know, but you were wearing the Afghan coat. So I met Jackie around 68. He used to wear a band down the south called The Cult.
Right.
Remember, so it's nice to meet. I met the boys periodically between this and that. It's great to be here with them tonight. You know.
The band that you're best known for is, of course, Skid Row. Not to be confused with the 80s kind of permed rockers, isn't that correct?
They call them poodle bands. Chihuahuas for toddlers. But they weren't bad, you know. And there was a joke that came around after, as you know, the boys had to sign a contract with John Bon Jovi and the other lad, whatever his name is, that plays guitar, that they couldn't say anything
Right.
when they fell out, you know, whatever it was. But there was a joke going around that those guys, that American Skid Row was going to sue me because I let them use the name.
We're on the Texas Mexican border. People don't know who I am. So we go into the canteen and we all go together. They say, "Hey amigo, where are you from?" I say, "Hey amigo, we're from Ireland." And they say, "Hey amigo, can you do the river dance?" And they say, "Hey amigo, I've never wore a pair of leather trousers in my life."
You discovered not only Gary Moore, but Phil Lynott as well,
That's
didn't
right,
you?
yeah.
How did you meet the two of them in the first place?
Well, somebody told me there was a great guitar player playing down in a place called the Go-Go in Dublin. And he was standing in with a band called The Few from Belfast, a blues band. So I went down to hear him. I thought, man, this guy's great. And at this time, Philo was just started singing with me. Philo was 17. I discovered him with a band called the Black Eagles.
Right.
So I got on the bus and I went across. Everybody got on the bus then, went over and knocked at his door and offered him a job. So he was with me for about 2 months when we on a seeing Gary. Then I offered Gary a job, and the rest is geography, really. You know, the rest was couldn't fail. So anyway, after a little while, Philo, he had a kind of a tonsil problem, you know.
Right.
So I decided that I could sing a lot better than him. So even though he was my best pal, and when people say to me, "How good a friend of yours was Phil Lynott?" This is true. He came on my honeymoon with me. Philo, myself, and the missus to Manchester. This is common knowledge. I can't tell you what went on, but it wasn't that, you know. But even so, in those days, like you'd be totally ruthless.
Yeah.
And I just decided like I could do a better job.
Right.
So I let him go, and he was my best pal. As you know, John Peel died just lately, and there's a guy in Hooks Records in England, along with Colin Harper here, who wants to bring out a Skid Row album made up of 2 John Peel sessions, 2 live sessions. But we were so wild we started one session with a 13-minute drum solo. So I think there's 4 tracks on the... so they're trying to get this out, so I should go ahead. No Bridges to go. It's up to Gary if he wants to go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, no, I hope they get it out, because as soon as they do, I'll bring out my Skid Row album.
All right.
So I'm, you know,
And of course, the first Skid Row albums, they were recorded very quickly. There was one that you called 34 Hours, and it was actually recorded in 34 hours, wasn't it?
well, that was a bit longer than usual. You know? We made the first one in a day, the Skid album. We made that in a day. And it took 34 hours to make the second one.
Oh my God.
And this next Skid Row album I have, I think I've lost the head of it. It took me 4 or 5 days to do this. But then I was stopping for a cup of tea and going, I keep donkeys and ponies, that's my problem. I'm going to look at the donkeys and come back and say, I better play something now.
Right.
That sort of thing, Norman.
You're still touring away these days. You were doing stuff in America recently, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I don't actually tour. A tour is when guys get together every 3 months. I play 52 weeks of the year.
Right.
3 or 4 nights every week, 5 nights some weeks. I never tour, I just play.
Yeah.
So a tour makes it look like I'm doing something interesting. I'm not. I actually just go out and plug in and play.
Well, I hear you were at Croke Park recently, which sounded like a pretty big gig.
Well, that's twice I've done the international routes where the Australians come over to Croke Park. The first year was 71,000. And this year was 60-odd thousand. So I do 20 minutes before the gig, and I do half time as well. And I find those things fairly easy, you know.
Right, yeah.
You know, as a guy said to me once, Bruce, why are you so confident? And I said, it's because I'm a lot better than most people think I am.
Well, Brush, it's been nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the gig tonight. And when's the album out again?
The album will be out before Christmas. And as the guy says, it'll be out and it'll be a Skid Row album. Unfortunately, it won't have Gary Moore. But I have 2 sons both playing guitar on it, so.
The singers are the ones at the front, the musicians are the ones at the back. Now the only reason I'm saying that tonight is, these are my 2 sons here, these 2 guys here. The only reason they're with me tonight is my mother likes to know where they are after 12 o'clock at night. I just say to the lads, I don't care what you do as long as you don't tell me about it, you know?
That means he's lost the will to live. I'm so lonesome I could cry.
Gary says he left the band originally because I was telling him how to solos. I tell these guys how to solo as well. But Gary's one of the greatest of all time. He was inspirational. It was great playing with him in Old Bridge. They were the best days of my life.
All right.
Yeah,
Great stuff. I look forward to the album.
Thanks for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.